Hey, y'all, just a quick heads up before we dive into today's episode. Technology decided to test my patience. So, unfortunately, we had some unexpected audio issues. You might hear a little static in a few spots, but trust me, the conversation is still worth it. We weren't able to re record it in time, but the good news is we fixed the issue. So, this won't happen again in future episodes. Thank you so much for rolling with me on this one. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in. Now, let's get into it. Welcome to the Back to Life podcast, where we explore living well, loving well, and being well. I'm your host, Nicole, and I invite you to tune in for inspirational conversations to get you back to life. Let's get started. Hey there, we are back with the Back to Life podcast, and this is the last episode of our Look Who's Talking series. If you've been with us, you know we've been exploring the voices that shape us and the stories that we tell ourselves. Today, we are going to be talking about how we show up in the world, how we use our voice and strengthen our communication skills with discernment. In the episode titled Mic Drop, Look Who's Talking Now. I am joined again with Shannon Spilsbury of Strengthened Foundations, and she's going to help us to navigate this conversation. So come on, Shannon, let's do this.
Let's do it, Nicole. Communication is such a powerful tool, but many of us struggle to use our voice due to so many reasons, like fear or people pleasing, or simply not knowing how to express like what we really want.
A lot of us don't know how to say what we need to say for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And one of those reasons is something you just said, Shannon, like fear.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that is an important thing in communication?
Well, I think sometimes we get stuck in the, like if there's a fear of if I say this, are they going to leave me? Is this person going to abandon me? Or is this, if I say this, am I going to be made fun of or not be cool?
Oh, yes. It's like,
I don't know what the word, the cool word now is.
No, but it's kind of, it comes to the point where it's kind of like, what will people think of me?
Yeah. Right.
And why do we care about what other people think?
But we sure
because
do.
we do.
Yes.
We do. I mean, if we're honest, we do. Everybody does.
Right.
To a certain extent.
Sure.
To a certain extent. But then that fear can lead to people pleasing.
Yes.
And that people pleasing kind of alters our behaviors, that nice versus kind.
Sure.
And a lot of times people are unsure or didn't even know there's a difference.
That's a great point.
Yeah, because being nice is about you and about what you think and they're going to think about you. Being kind is about them. And it's about doing things that not with an ulterior motive of receiving, you know, oh, you're going to like me. I'm going to be popular. Or yes, exactly. And kindness is, you know, genuine. It's giving.
Yeah.
Where nice, I mean, we all use it, you know, kind of like we try to use it interchangeably, but it really, if we think about it at its core, it's not.
Yeah.
And that can affect our communication.
Yeah.
That affects that's where people kind of say yes to things when they really should say no.
Sure.
You know. Right. So it can create a whole different beast.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying the difference between kind and nice.
Yeah. You know, you're such a nice person. You know, because that sounds fine, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a kind, because kind is not always nice.
Yeah.
In our, you know, if we want to think about that.
Sure.
Saying no to someone, or I remember one time they had asked me, we were at a party or something, and the person found out, you know, that I'm a therapist.
Oh, yeah.
And they were kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to come see you. I need to do that. And I was like, no. and it's not, you know, I could have been like, oh, well, no.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and it doesn't mean I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but it's kind of like first of all, no, because we're in a social setting
Yeah.
and different things. But also, me saying sure,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, it would be for a different reason,
Sure.
if that makes any
No,
sense.
for sure. Nice is what I'm hearing you say is when we're nice, we're self-serving, but when we're kind, we are seeking to serve others.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's a great way to kind of sum it up.
I love that.
Yeah. So let's talk about understanding our communication style.
Okay.
So why is it important to understand how we communicate, Shannon?
I think everybody has a default communication style. Passive aggressive, or assertive.
Petty.
So petty. That too. So understanding what your communication style is helps you to navigate interactions effectively.
Oh, yeah. There was a time in my life where I would lean towards passive communication, where I'd avoid conflict at all costs. Sometimes I still do.
Sure.
But I've learned that being direct doesn't mean being unkind.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we were talking about before.
Right.
And, sometimes my understanding of that can also lean towards now petty. But but I am working on that, and I'm trying to be kind.
Sure.
So let's kind of give our listeners some tools that they can use. Okay. Shannon, do you have a method that you can share with us for finding and using your voice?
Yeah, I think one that comes to mind is called the voice method.
Ooh,
have you ever heard of it?
No, okay. Tell me about it.
So it's an acronym. So the V for invoice stands for validate your feelings.
Ooh, your feelings matter.
Yes, they do. And the O stands for own the truth.
Yes.
So
what is true?
Yes, that means also recognizing if something that you're telling yourself is not true.
That's true. Okay.
The I is identifying your needs.
Oh, that's important because some people don't even know.
Sure. Especially in communication.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what do you need?
Yeah. Do you need me to listen or do you need me to help you?
Yeah. Right? Do we need to just sit together or do we need to, who do we need to go fight?
Right.
Okay,
exactly.
I'm sorry. See, there's was.
She's being kind.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The C is communicate clearly.
Uh-huh.
And then the E, establish boundaries.
Oh, yeah. You had talked about that in second episode. Yep. Now, with this voice method, it helps us express ourselves with confidence and clarity. Yeah. What do you think is a barrier to communicating clearly?
Gosh, there are so many barriers, and it depends on the conversation and the person I think that you have this conversation with. Mm-hmm. But I think some of the barriers could be like the tone in which somebody brings this topic. How are we being experienced by each other, the people that are in this conversation?
Oh, yeah. I always tell people, know your audience.
Yes.
Know your audience.
Yeah.
Now, you can say what you need to say, but know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Why would you go and say something to someone where it's way over their head? If you're talking to a kid, why would you use a dissertation of words?
Yeah, sure.
Come on.
It doesn't make
10
sense.
words or less.
Right. For most adults too.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
But I also think a barrier could be not listening. I think sometimes, if we have a misunderstanding or something going on that we're not really listening, we're kind of gathering up our thoughts like a rebuttal, we're in a court system. We want to have this rebuttal for this person.
I object.
Instead of listening. Yes. And I think listening is a huge part of being able to communicate in healthy ways.
Well, active listening is a skill that I think a lot of us need to hone in on.
Right.
And active listening is listening with your whole body.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that our body language, we start speaking before we ever open our mouth.
Sure.
And so it's our posture, our facial expressions. if we're coming in there, we're sick, angry, lonely, tired, whatever,
Yeah.
all of it, we're coming with all of that.
Yeah.
And then you open your mouth.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yes.
And what comes out,
Right.
you know, also speaks, like
Yeah.
you said, with tone of voice,
Yep.
you know, inflection. Are you even present? Or are you
Mhm.
just waiting to just say, no,
Yeah.
you're wrong,
Sure.
kind of thing?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then even clarifying what we've heard.
Yeah.
You know, am I hearing this correctly?
Yeah. So
So-
let me see. Is what you said this?
Yeah.
Is that, I want to make sure I understand. kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that person can say, yeah, that's exactly what I said. Or, oh my
You
gosh.
were so far off.
Yeah, I thought it, or I messed up. Sorry, I miscommunicated that. Let me
Yeah.
tell you in a different way what I meant to say.
I do ask people, it's like, how is another person experiencing you?
Yes.
You know?
Mhm.
And sometimes I get the deer in the headlights look.
Right?
Because that's not even a thought.
Not even a thought. Yeah.
You know? They're just like, they don't hear me. They, you know, because we get consumed with ourselves
Uh-huh.
sometimes.
For sure.
But it's like, if you notice something while you're having this conversation, are they glazed over? What's going on? How are they experiencing you in that moment?
Sure.
And that doesn't mean you have to change and shift everything about yourself.
Right.
It's just notice.
Right.
Because what's your motive here?
Exactly.
Are you trying to have a conversation, or do you want to get your point? Like, what are you trying to accomplish
Sure.
in this conversation?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when we're not reflecting back on those types of things, we engage in conversation or communication that tends to go south, you know, for the most part.
Oh.
And then it becomes a battle between, you know, either spouses or family members or friends
Mm-hmm.
instead of a like conversation.
Exactly. And so it's learning to communicate, knowing your audience,
Yeah.
and just and looking at what's the outcome
Yeah.
that I want for this.
Sure.
You know, what is the outcome we're looking for these conversations?
Yeah. Because conflict isn't always bad.
No,
It can be
helpful,
and it can grow a relationship.
yeah, but depends on your lens. You know,
Agreed.
a lot of times, you know, people, like you said, that pain and hurt that we were talking about
Yep.
before,
Sure.
you know, confrontation can be triggering.
Sure.
So, and you know, a lot of people struggle with confrontation.
Mhm.
So do you have any advice on how to handle tough conversations? Because that's another one that's hard to, you know, for people to kind of wade through.
Sure. Preparation is key.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Know your intention.
Yeah.
Try to stay calm. If you're escalated in your emotions, you've already lost. So keep yourself calm.
Yeah.
Listen as much as you speak.
Mm-hmm.
And not every battle needs to be fought. So pick the ones that truly matter.
Yeah, I think, what's her name? Mel Robbins says something like, let them. Just
Mm,
let them.
sure.
Because it's you do not have to, you know, convince
Engage.
somebody,
Yeah.
or, you know, engage or convince somebody. No, you have to, you know, it's like, let them.
Yeah.
Just let them.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, and that, you know, that's really good. Preparation.
Mhm.
Preparation is key.
Sure.
And part of this is discerning who deserves a response and who doesn't, because not everybody does.
Yeah.
Excuse
Agreed.
me. We don't have to explain ourselves to everyone. It is important to always check your motives
Mhm.
in your speech and how you're showing up and everything. Check your motives, because that makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah. So here's a challenge. Practice the voice method this week in a conversation where you normally stay silent. I think that'll be good.
Yes.
Write about the experience in your journal about how it felt.
Love it.
And for people who are not used to, you know, speaking up, this could be really powerful for them.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times we think about it, I'm afraid, but then it's like, what are you really afraid of?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
The unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fear of the unknown, right? But you don't know till you know.
You don't know to see. I'm not the only one who says that. Okay, I love that. Yeah.
I learned it from Notorious B.I.G.
Oh.
You don't know.
You
till
don't know. Oh my
know. Sorry.
I love that. Anyway, now you threw me off. Okay. Anyway, Shannon, Thanks. This has been fun. I
Yes.
appreciate you
Yes.
joining me on this.
Yeah.
I know it's short, like a short thing because, we can't do therapy on a podcast or
Right.
anything like that. But I thank you for sharing your wisdom and the work that you do with couples and families. Um, I hope that you can come back again for a different podcast, and share
Sure.
and some nuggets
Yeah,
again.
sounds good.
All
It's
right.
been awesome, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you were along on this ride. And thank you, listeners, for being part of the Look Who's Talking series. If this series spoke to you, share it with a friend. And as always, keep growing, keep speaking up, and keep moving back to life. Have a great one and stay tuned for our next series coming up soon. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts and stories about this series that we're talking about. You can follow us online at our website or on socials, and information about that is in the show notes. Be well.